In the history of cryptid encounters, few gain the immediate hard-earned credibility of a police report. In 1972, near the town of Loveland, Ohio, two separate law enforcement officers encountered an entity so bizarre, so alien, that it forced a major intelligence file to be opened. Project AQUA-SCAN is the intelligence designation for the Loveland Frogmen. The file's seriousness stems from two factors: the reliability of the witnesses and the creature's presence near vital contaminated freshwater infrastructure. This wasn't a legend of the deep woods. This was an amphibious intelligence operating in the human world. Today, using the specialized analysis found in CIA RDP-75, the aquatic series, we undertake the investigation of Project AQUA-SCAN. We'll determine if the Loveland Frogmen were biological victims of our contamination or masters of their own hidden aquatic domain. While initial sightings date back to 1955, the 1972 incident solidified the case. The first officer encountered a 3 to 4 foot tall entity on the side of the road, describing a rough textured body, large webbed hands, and a massive frog-like head. Crucially, the officer fired upon the creature, which rapidly and bipedally descended the river bank, disappearing into the water. The second officer encountered a similar creature just 2 weeks later, confirming the consistency of the threat. An FBI review noted the non-negotiable credibility of the 1972 witnesses. It says, quote, "The sequential reports provided by uniformed personnel detailing consistent morphological and behavioral characteristics grant this incident a level of reliability significantly higher than typical civilian reports. The creature's deliberate bipedal locomotion confirms a high degree of cerebral development and mobility outside of known amphibious parameters." End quote. Initial attempts to dismiss the frogmen focused on a hoax involving large pet iguanas or misidentified rare amphibians. However, the consistent descriptions of bipedalism and high-pitched vocalization, described as a unique, almost robotic chirp, made conventional explanations impossible. No known amphibian in Ohio walks upright or emits that type of sonic signature. The CIA's focus was on the entity's functional capabilities, its ability to operate both on land and in the water. From CIA RDP-75, Aquatic Memo refuted the simple hoax theory. Quote, "The confirmed bipedal transit capability in the unique high-frequency non-biological vocalization signature reported by law enforcement personnel preclude classification as a conventional reptile or amphibian. The entity demonstrates operational capabilities indicative of a superior anatomical design or the use of an internal mechanical aid." End quote. Graphics showing industrial discharge pipes near the Little Miami River and diagrams illustrating possible genetic pathways for mutation in amphibians can be found online. The 1970s were a period of intense environmental concern. The first intelligence hypothesis for AQUA-SCAN focused on biological mutation caused by industrial contamination of the Ohio River system. The frogmen could be victims, amphibians exposed to unprecedented levels of toxins, heavy metals, industrial waste, that triggered radical genetic instability resulting in giantism, bipedalism, and neurological changes. They were not aliens, but the toxic byproduct of American industry. The intelligence consequences was clear. If the frogmen were a mutation, they were a sentient indicator of a mass environmental failure requiring federal intervention. A DIA environmental review assessed the genetic risk. Quote, "The proximity of the reported sightings to high-density industrial discharge zones along the Little Miami River suggest a high probability of genetic instability. The entity's altered morphology may represent a radical, non-sustainable mutation pattern resulting from prolonged exposure to specific heavy metal contaminants." The final, more unnerving hypothesis was that the frogmen were a non-human aquatic intelligence that had been utilizing the river systems as protected, low-visibility operational corridors for decades. Unlike the open ocean, freshwater rivers are narrow, complex, and ideal for stealthy reconnaissance of human population centers. The bipedal nature suggests the entities spend critical time on land performing tasks, perhaps related to the UAP activity often reported in the region. The intelligence implication: America's waterways waterways were being used as a freeway for an unknown, potentially hostile intelligence. Again, another quote from CIA RDP 75, Aquatic. This is the final memo. Quote, "The consistent utilization of freshwater river networks by the entities confirms a strategic operational preference for low visibility, high access transit corridors. This behavior suggests the entities possess a highly sophisticated understanding of terrestrial infrastructure and avoid detection by conventional naval and air defense systems." End quote. The Loveland Frogmen incident became a major factor in assessing domestic water safety. If the creatures were mutations, they indicated critical environmental collapse. If they were an NHAI, they represented a biological and tactical threat capable of assessing the central water supply. Intelligence had to treat the possibility of a biological contagion being introduced into the water system by an unconventional entity. The lack of trace evidence outside of the 1972 police testimony only fueled the urgency to identify the source. Project AQUA-SCAN confirmed that the threat isn't always from the skies or the deep ocean. It can be right in our backyard, in the very water we drink. The Loveland Frogmen file proves the enduring difficulty of distinguishing between catastrophic mutation and a hidden intelligent domain. We've covered the amphibious mysteries of the heartland. Now we're going to dive into the deepest, darkest conspiracy of the Cold War, a file that deals not with physical monsters, but with temporal physics and the manipulation of the human mind. Next time we're pivoting to a deeply complex, high-stakes geopolitical conspiracy file titled Project Phoenix Shield, the DIA and ONI assessment of the electromagnetic, psychic, and alleged temporal anomalies reported at the highly classified Camp Hero military installation on Long Island. We will analyze the military intelligence reports that tracked bizarre electromagnetic fields, the sudden appearance of high-energy temporal artifacts, and the alleged government experimentation with mind control and dimensional portals. We'll use CIA RDP 85, the temporal PSYOPS memos, to assess the core question: was Camp Hero the site of successful classified time travel and psychic warfare testing? Or was the entire phenomenon an orchestrated psychological operation designed to mask the development of next-generation radar weapon? Another quote on the Frogmen is, quote, "The Loveland entity must be classified as an unconventional amphibious life form. Due to its bipedal intelligence and strategic positioning within critical freshwater corridors, the entity requires continuous surveillance as a potential indicator of major environmental collapse or the presence of a non-human aquatic intelligence utilizing domestic infrastructure." End quote. The documented truth of Project AQUA-SCAN proves the rivers run deep with secrets, and if this analysis has captured your focus, your support is vital as we investigate the ultimate time and space conspiracy. I'll see you in the archives.